Hello there, welcome back to Sequel-A-Thon 4. I'm Scotty, you're not. The AC's on because he's hot. So, we are talking about Kingsman, The Golden Circle, the second in this franchise that includes the two sequels, a prequel. I guess Argyle's technically in this world, even though Samuel L. Jackson plays a different character in that movie. I don't know. But in this movie, Julianne Moore plays a new villain named Poppy, who has sent out these drugs that are infected with special drugs basically. They're infected with something that whenever they're used, whether it's meth or crack, coke, marijuana, doesn't matter. It causes a reaction where people get like a blue rash, and then they paralyze and eventually dead. And so she basically says the president has a certain amount of time to, I guess, pay a ransom or something, or all these people will die. Basically, is what it is. And the Kingsmen are on the case. Well, sort of. So. I was watching this. We start with Galahad, or Eggsy, being attacked by Charlie. You know Charlie, the guy that he was one of the guys that was he was one of the tryouts, didn't make it, and he ended up at Samuel L. Jackson's place. In the last one, he lost his arm. Well, now he's got a robotic arm. And he's going after Eggsy, but Eggsy takes care of him. But also taking in the robot arm, which you should never do, but you know. And that causes... It turns out that Charlie's working for Poppy, and she uses the other arm to hack in and find the location and home locations of members of the Kingsmen. Killing off Lancelot, or Roxy. She spent all that time trying to become Lancelot in the last one, and I was looking forward to more of this team. She dies at the beginning of this now, really. And then one of Eggsy's friends also dies because he's at Eggsy's house. He finds Eggsy's stuff, and I went, wow, okay, so now he's going to have a civilian working with him. Nope, dies, explosion. Eggsy and his girlfriend, fiance, the princess, the Swedish princess from the last movie, are out having dinner with her parents at the time when this happens. So they're safe, but their dog dies. Poor dog. And Merlin is safe because they don't have his home address, apparently. So to finish this mission, they have to go to America, to the American version called The Statesman, which is Channing Tatum, who gets affected right away and is barely in this movie, despite being on a goddamn cover. It's him, right? Or is that? Yeah, despite being on a cover, he's barely in this. You also have Pedro Pascal before he was Pedro Pascal. So I think this is one of his earlier, big movie roles. He plays whiskey. Yeah, their alcohols there. Whiskey, tequila, ginger ale, which is Halle Berry's character, and they have their own. So, strangely enough, Michael Caine gets replaced with Michael Gambon, and who was then killed off in the main office. Anyway, in America they have Jeff Bridges, who, even though he has a short role in this, you can understand him, unlike in True Grit. Yes, so they're working with them now. Let me tell you, there's some pretty decent fight sequences in this. They recreate the Manners Make It the Man scene, but with Pedro Pascal using this laser whip thing, which is pretty cool. While in America, they discover that Harry, or the original Galahad, Colin Firth, is still alive. And we get a flashback showing that after he was shot in the eyeball by Samuel L. Jackson in the last movie, the statesman swooped in, did a nano gel that stopped from killing him, and this thing that brought him back to life. But he has amnesia. He doesn't remember Galahad or Merlin, Eggsy or Merlin. He doesn't remember either of them. Yeah. Let me tell you, there's a lot of subplots in this. Like, they do the, like I said, they do the manners maketh man type thing. But was it needed? They were trying to refresh his memory, which is later, I know, but it still was it needed? Like, this whole amnesia subplot is not needed. This movie is 2 hours and 20 minutes long. We didn't need the amnesia subplot. We didn't. It's a chunk of it's not a big chunk of the movie, but it's a chunk that you could have eliminated some of this stuff if he doesn't know who he is. And even afterwards, they still drag it down by not having him not be the guy he was before. How he still hasn't mastered everything, because he'd be OP otherwise, right? And you saw what we did in that church in the last one. My foot is so itchy right now. Sorry, dry skin on the bottom of my feet. Yeah. So, how do they bring his memory back? Well, Eggsy threatens a dog that looks just like his dog that he was supposed to shoot in his training, and he used it was a blank, and that whole thing, and so it refreshes his memory for what he can be. He's still not the same. The three go on a mission. The three being Eggsy, Harry, and Whiskey, Pedro Pascal. They go on a mission to get this antidote, which they do get, and then they're ambushed by these people, and during which Whiskey accidentally knocks the antidote and breaks it. This triggers Harry to believe that Whiskey is in on it, and he shoots him right in the head. In my opinion, this should have been the end of Whiskey. Just say, oops, it was an accident. He wasn't in on it. It was an accident. Because what they do just spreads out the runtime. By the way, Poppy has kidnapped Elton John. Why? No reason given. He's just there. And it just adds to the comedy, I guess. There's really no reason for him to be kidnapped. He helps at the end, but there's really no reason for him at all. There's also a subplot where Eggsy has to hook up, and I mean hook up, not just flirt with, but hook up with Charlie's girlfriend so that she can end up showing him the location. And they say he has to plant the thing on her, but they generally say in order to do it, he has to have sex with her. And not only that, he calls his girlfriend and tells her he has to do this, and she's all upset, which leads to another unnecessary plot point later in the film. I just don't understand, why are we doing this? I'm like, okay, to get the tracker in, so they know where the antidote is. That's where they go in later. But yeah, and she gets killed anyway for unwittingly helping them. Yeah, I don't. What else? Subplots. You mean? So when it's finally time for the final battle, we get the three lads back together again: Eggsy, Merlin, Harry, off to save the world. But also around this time, we see that Ginger Ale, Holly Berry's character, has brought Whiskey back to life and used his dead girlfriend's picture to refresh his memory. So he goes after to help them doing this. But he takes pretty long to get there, though. I'm just saying. And then the biggest conflicting moment in the movie happens as they're going through, trying to get to the base. We see earlier that Poppy's lawyer shows up and there's landmines. So okay, they tell us there's landmines, so something's gonna happen. Well, Eggsy steps on one, and so Merlin uses this ice spray to try to help, keep it down, and then he pushes Eggsy off and steps on it himself. He doesn't die right away, but he's standing on it. And so he says that he will distract the guards while they go ahead. So he stands there and sings "Take Me Home, Country Roads" by John Denver, and causes a distraction. He beats up one of them, and then he blows up the rest, sacrificing himself. And on one hand, this is well done. They even have, they even honor him later too, but it's done well. However, seeing as they retconned Harry's death at the end of the last one, I wouldn't be surprised that when they eventually do the third one, whatever that is, Mark Strong shows up again. He survived, whatever, like, show a clip of Whiskey arriving, finding him, that he's still alive, and saving him with the thing. It wouldn't make any sense, because he's trying... Anyway, but maybe doing that would, if he was able to get there, I don't know. Maybe a statesman shows up. I don't know. But then again, well, if he did that, he saved him, he would have no memory. And he would just be wandering around aimlessly, right? I don't know. Maybe he'll stay dead. Who knows? But I would say that it was well done. It was more of like a sacrificial type thing than when Harry's was. Harry's was just bluntly getting shot in the eye, whereas this was a sacrifice. So, I don't hate Harry's death being undone because it was just blatantly being shot in the face. Whereas this is a sacrifice. So if it was undone, it kind of makes the whole point of that moot. Anyway, so the other two, they get in there, save the day, and they inject Poppy with a very, very strong dose of heroin, causing her to rapidly get these conditions. She tells them that the password to open the thing is Viva Las Vegan. And by the way, Elton John also helps them distract the bodyguards and everything. He fights a little bit too. There's a whole action scene with Harry and Eggsy to the song "Saturday Night's Alright for Fighting" by Elton John. And I don't know, so I think, what was it? Rocket Man came out in 2018. So I think maybe they already had in mind that Taron Egerton was going to play Elton John. But if they didn't already, I bet you this is what sold it. Because it gives me vibes like he's running through here kicking ass to this song. Come on. And at one point also, Elton John starts saying Wednesday nights, alright. Isn't it Saturday? What day is today? Wednesday. That's Wednesday then. Yeah. Yeah. They do that, and they save the day because, another subplot that's very short but still unnecessary. Turns out that Tilda, because she was stressed out because Eggsy had to sleep with that woman for his job, she took some drugs and now she's infected. Did we need that? No, and it doesn't really add to anything other than, he has to really get this done, but I don't know, it's a little too much extra. So's this. Just when you think everything's done, Whiskey shows up, and, well, he's not in on it, but he still doesn't want them to perfect the cure. I guess this is before they spread it out. He shows up after they take care of Poppy, but before they distribute the cure. Okay, so he shows up. Just to push out the runtime more. It's just so unnecessary. He should have just stayed dead. It's revealed that he had a girlfriend or a wife. The picture that Ginger Ale used to snap him out of it, that she died, and she was pregnant with his son at the time. Sorry, I guess I bugging me. Time, and she died because of drug overdose. So because of a gang fight over drugs, so he wants anyone who's addicted to drugs to die because of it. I think is what I got from it. The problem is, these people aren't the drug addicts, they're just people who have been infected. Well, I guess they are drug addicts, aren't they? Except for Tilda, right? I don't know. But yeah. But they take care of him, and then they send out the thing and they say, he said, well, when he takes care of Charlie, he says it's for everyone, and for Merlin. And you hear Country Road Take Me Home. And again, you hear it again, as, maybe you just hear it here, when they're spreading out all the cure and everything, you hear that go off for Merlin. So, and then they have a funeral for him when you also hear it playing in the background. It's an instrumental version, of course, but yeah. So again, they had a funeral for him. I think they had a funeral for Harry in the last one, so. And I had another question. They didn't go for the body? They didn't go there to get Harry's body. They just left it? Really? I don't know, but yeah. So they established a new base, and it looks like Tequila is going to be joining the Statesman, or the Kingsman. Excuse me. He was barely in this, but yeah, and yeah. Get ready for another one. It's been 7 years, and so I don't know when the new one's coming out, but it's going to. I know this came out in 2017, and we had COVID and the writer's strike since then, but so that's kind of putting a damp on things. But I don't know. Also, they decided to give us a prequel for no reason, and then Matthew Vaughn did Argyle. So if he didn't do those two unnecessary movies, because The Kingsman is a prequel, and as I always say, prequels are unnecessary because it either retread or give us backstory we didn't ask for. There are only a couple of good prequels, I think, but I don't know. Yeah. Yeah, so I kind of want. I'm gonna have to try to find the Kingsman so I can do that too, and I guess maybe Argyle if it's in this franchise. I don't know. But yeah. So what? I'm gonna give it a middle of the road. It's a high middle of the road. It's not as good as the first one, but I think it's still pretty well done. There's a lot of stuff there you didn't need to be in here. Subplots that you could have taken out. This movie didn't need to be 2 hours and 20 minutes. But it's fine. So what are your thoughts on Kingsman? Kingsman: The Golden Circle. By the way, the Golden Circle is the group that Poppy is in charge of. So, thank you for watching. I've been Scotty, and I'll see you in the next one.